Doing that blue magic, bro. I know niggas on that I stand by it, I guarantee it. Blue magic. That's what you want, bro.
Cardiologist Dr. Scott Davis, thanks for being here with us this morning. So push-up, explain this for us. How does this work?
Drop give me 20, right? So, interesting study. So the smart people at Harvard did a study. They looked at a group of firefighters in the state of Indiana. And so they had 1,100 men, okay, that they studied over a 10-year period. And the average age was about 40 years old, so it wasn't the 25-year-old caliber firefighter guys. I mean, it had a good, broad, selection of men. And they followed them over like I said, a 10-year period. And they found that the ability to do push-ups had a direct correlation in their cardiovascular risk. In that, if you're able to do over 40 push-ups.
Blue magic, bro. When you step in and you sell this and you telling people that this is CMOS gel, Dr. Sabi approved, you fucking up the brand. What are you talking about? It's copyright infringement. This is the Chondrus crispus, the only one in North America. When you present people this is copyright infringement. This is hair grease. God, the words you use, I don't like the words you use. They're disrespectful. Like the words you use after they even comprehend with, like it's disrespectful. I just call it red sea moss. I want that red sea moss. Y'all want red sea moss? Come get y'all some red sea moss. Listen, I don't give a fuck if you call it blue dog. Okay? As long as you don't call it blue magic.
Doing that blue magic, bro. I know niggas on that I stand by it, I guarantee it. Blue magic. That's what you want, bro.
For a long time, African-centered scholars and academics have pressurized Egyptian antiquities to allow for the testing of skin pigmentation. This can be done via the measurement of the concentration of melanin to ascertain the exact skin tone of mummified individuals. Understandably, Afrocentric anthropologists have always been confident in the knowledge that ancient Egyptians will cluster among the same racial stock as modern Africans. Esteemed historian and physicist Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop developed a simple melanin dosage test that would be able to return the exact living complexion from any mummy based on a minuscule sample of the epidermis. What's important to note here is that melanin concentration is responsible for skin pigmentation. The more melanocytes present in skin, the darker an individual will be. Diop himself stated, although the epidermis is the main site of the melanin, the melanocytes penetrating the derm at the boundary between it and the epidermis, even where the latter has mostly been destroyed by the embalming materials, show a melanin level which is non-existent in the white-skinned races. In the case of the mummies sampled by Diop, in spite of some significant melanin degradation, they still possessed a concentration of melanocytes well within the dark-skinned ranges, normal for black Africans, but considerably beyond the accessible range for Eurasian peoples. Regarding the origin of his samples, Diop continues, the samples I myself analyzed were taken in the physical anthropology laboratory of the Musée de l'Homme in Paris off the mummies from the Marietta excavations in Egypt. For 2 years past, I have been vainly begging the curator of the Cairo Museum for similar samples to analyze. No more than a few square millimeters of skin would be required to mount a specimen. Naturally, his attempts to advance this test have faced staunch resistance from the gatekeepers of Egyptology, who only benefit from the lack of transparency in a shameless attempt to perpetuate the myth of racial ambiguity. This allows them to make estimations and promote reconstructions that are illogically and politically based on the current ethnically divergent population of Egypt, as opposed to their actual complexion based on a consistent and measurable variable that is easily acquired. However, more recently, during an excavation headed by the German Institute for Archaeology in Cairo in the year 2000, researchers sought to carry out anthropological and paleopathological analysis of the human remains from 3 tombs of the nobles of the necropolis of Thebes West. An additional study was conducted by Makota and Vermeeren, published in 2005. The study sought to test the quality of methods of rehydration for mummified tissue. In the study, samples were taken from a pool of 273 mummies dated from the New Kingdom. Samples were taken from each organ of each of the mummies. During analysis of the skin samples, biologists noted that skin sections showed particularly good tissue preservation. Although much of the epidermis had already separated from the dermis, the remaining epidermis often was preserved well. The basal epithelial cells were packed with melanin as expected for specimens of Negroid origin. In essence, the epidermis was consistent with black or Negroid African groups based on the density of the melanin. This was the only conclusive assumption made alluding to ethnicity during the study, since its purpose was to compare methods of rehydration. This objective conclusion gives a silent nod to the tireless efforts of Diop and his protégés, who always knew that given the opportunity to test, the ancient Egyptians would be proven to be amongst the same ethnic stock as their African brethren. Thank you for joining me on The King's Monologue.
Purple phase not only regrows beta cells, But a part of the mechanism it uses to regrow beta cells is melanogenesis. Yes, in the world where your melanin, your pigment system has been attacked, you now have an equalizer. Purple phase, AmericanHealer.website. What are you waiting for? Go to AmericanHealer.website now and get you some. In this book, the photochemistry book, right? See if we try to turn it to the side. Well, EnQi's law of metabolism, right? Photochemistry Squared. That's the name of this book. Let me show you. Right? When you come to this channel, we're going to send you to go get books. Other channels may send you to go get high or go get drunk. Here, we're going to send you to go get you some books. All right, so it's very simple to find these books. Photochemistry Squared. Bang. Right? You type in photochemistry squared, book pops right up to the top. Right? Go and get that book. Right? Go and get that book. Put that book along with the other books in your cart for checkout. Right? In this book, early on in the Roman numerals, right? Roman numeral 8. Before you even get to page 1, right? The first thing we highlight in the book is how light goes deeper into your layers of flesh, deeper into the tissues, right? So going back to, I think, one of the first questions that dropped in the chat room, melanin and the aura. Doesn't melanin facilitate the aura? This is why I said that I could say yes and I could say no with equal documentation, but the truth is somewhere between the two, right? We have light that only penetrates the superficial layers of the skin, right? That's UV light. UV, right? And this is why we know UVA stimulates, well, all light kind of stimulates pigment, but UVA stimulates the fastest melanin response, right? UVB stimulates vitamin D, right? UVC is too high energy, right? If you spend too much time in UVC, it's not going to go well for you, right? But UVA, you can think of that as the melanin trigger. UVB, vitamin D trigger, right? UV light is absorbed in the superficial layers of the skin, but visible light goes a little bit deeper than UV, right? That's visible light. That's the light that we can see. Then you take it a step further, and infrared goes all the way down to the tissues, goes all the way down into your inner tissues, right? That's infrared. And then you have near infrared that has the deepest and furthest most penetration, right? So the reason why this is important is because we have pigments all throughout the body. We have pigments all throughout the body. And this is why, so now this book right here, right? Let me show you. See this? You see that right there? Electrician Manual number 9, right? We start this Electrician Manual series with this book. And in this book, we talk about the melanocytes in the heart and the aorta, right? And the lungs, right? We kind of talk about the core melanocytes and what they would be doing down so deep, right? So you got to think about those things. You got to think about the melanopsin, which is a type of opsin that's in all your blood vessels and things like that. Now you add in the fact that you have pigments that are active all throughout your body, meaning the chlorophyll from, well, I can't even assume you niggas have, I can't even assume you have chlorophyll circulating through your body right now, right? But if you're eating greens, right? If you're eating and drinking greens, right? If you're following the program as laid out in the books, right? If you're eating and drinking your greens all throughout the day, then you always have circulating chlorophylls in your blood, right? This is a part of the Greenman Challenge. This is one of the reasons why we have the Greenman Challenge, right? So that we have certain high levels of circulating chlorophylls in our blood. In fact, let's go to my name is Minister EnQi. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. Hold up, I'm still looking for it. Damn, I can't find it. Even though I did find, you know how you find stuff when you're not looking for it? So I found one of the references that I was looking for earlier that I didn't find. Right? I found something that I was looking for earlier. So that's good. We're going to hold that right there. Let's grab one of these.
Peace to the family. This is Abdul Ali, candidate for U.S. House District 12 here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's just be real, folks. The Democrats have destroyed our major cities. Their policies have made us less safe. They've given us less economic opportunity, and they've provided less educational opportunities for our children. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I know what it takes to improve these issues. I've got great working relationships already in D.C. I've spent the last 10 years of my life building my political resume so that one of us, somebody who thinks like we do, could get into D.C. and make a difference. I want you to visit aliforcongress.com to find out more about my campaign. The Democrats have already done enough, and now they're putting illegal aliens in front of people like you and me, folks whose ancestors built this country and made it what it is today. So again, I'm asking you to support me in my run for U.S. House District 12 here in North Carolina. You don't have to live in North Carolina to support, because what happens in Congress affects the entire country. So again, it's aliforcongress.com. I hope to have your support. Peace and love, y'all.
All right. I'm going to stop looking. There's too many books. As soon as I stop looking, I'm going to find it. All right. But anyway, my point was that you have light of various intensities penetrating the body to different depths. At different depths, you have different pigments and tissues that are harnessing those different types of light, right? This is not something that we knew before, right? This is not something that we knew before. So this is another contributory factor to what we would call the aura, right? The different pigment at different depths that's interacting with light coming in, as well as light being produced internally. Light coming in, light being produced internally, right? Remember, I'm also this guy. Hold up. Right? Right? The entire aspect of energy production and information transfers cell to cell, molecule to molecule, enzyme to enzyme, and across has overlooked phosphorus in its central role to human health. Hence has been misinterpreted and or misrepresented as sugar, protein, or electron driven via water. Phosphorus and phosphorylation and dephosphorylation, the Cori cycle and the tricarboxylic acid cycle, phosphorus and DNA RNA cycles, that is methylation, the phospholipid cycle, are chemiluminescent via the attraction and repulsion of photons to and from phosphorus. The biochemistry that is life is powered by ATP and the firing off of a phosphorus in the cytoplasm, releases light that is used to power the cell. Fat is known as our stored energy because of its sugar content. However, the light-producing phosphorus attached to the sugar molecules is overlooked. Information is transferred throughout the body via the many light-producing mechanisms elucidated here, and many more we will not disclose yet. That is the system of crystals and pigments in the cytosol in conjunction with the fascia and interstitium or interstitium. Every cell uses its nuclear DNA as an antenna, and the body uses its spine in the same manner. Sound waves encode information and transformed via proteins into light, which is sent out immediately or in the molecule, which is one of the main mineral functions. Frequency focus, much like the crystals in radio tuned into a radio station. The entire science of the human body must be rewritten with water, melanin, and light as its core. Right? So this is, some years ago, I had wrote that article on, and that's the article that got me the nickname, right? Founder of the Soul. That's the article that went around the world, or at least one of them anyway, and got me kind of popping in the scientific community, to the point where somebody decided to take the article and post the article in Medium, right? And I thank God for that post in Medium, because later on, when people tried to steal my original research, I have that article that predates the earliest references in any journals or anything like that to light being produced in the cell as the medium of consciousness. Right? Light being produced in the cell as the medium of consciousness. So there's light that is being absorbed at different levels in the body, right? UV, just the surface level. Visible, goes a little bit deeper than the surface. Then you have infrared, which goes really deep, but not as deep as near infrared, etc. Right? Different types of pigments are able to harness different types of light that are being absorbed. Now, that's one part. The other part is, again, the cells are producing their own light. The cells are producing their own light, which is a part of your metabolism, which is a part of your mental health, which is a part of your physical health, which is a part of. So the ancient summary of this aspect of your health would just be your aura, right? Your aura. And so in ancient texts, you have stories about an aura or a light emanating from a person, right? Light emanating from a person. You have these stories where collectively they didn't really have any science to tie them to reality. So there was no way to validate or invalidate them. Some people included them because their traditions did, right? Whereas you had like Christians, Catholics, and things like that, you had these concepts of a halo, right? You had the concept of the halo, or anytime they would show or draw or render out a depiction of an angel, right? There would be like light around the body, right? So you have these ideas. You have the Muslim traditions, right? With the green light. Now we know now green light is the most prevalent light in our environment, and the sun is green and our skin is green, and all of these concepts are now new concepts, right? New concepts to wrestle with. But you have the Oriental, the Egyptian concepts, and then you have the transition of those concepts through Greece and Rome, and those concepts being translated into, what would later on become institutionalized science, right? So in Greece and Rome, how that works is you have complexion and you have humors. You have humors and you have complexion. So what are the humors? The humors are the fluids of the body, right? And so the Greek science of the humors is that the quality and quantity of the different humors you have mixing up in your body, right, which were color coded, the quantity and quality of the humors that are mixing in your body determine the complexion. So you can use the skin as a diagnostic device for people's health, right? So you could use the skin as a diagnostic device for people's health, right? This is at a time when heliotherapy was a major way of a major part of healing, right? So at the time when the humors and the complexion were a primary driving force in quote unquote medicine, heliotherapy was a major form of medicine, right? Sulfur-based medicine and antibiotics and all these things that we think of now had yet to be, like, these things weren't invented yet. Right? So at the time, heliotherapy and all of its derivatives, we're just going to do it like that. We ain't going through actinotherapy, and this is heliotherapy, which is light therapy or sunlight therapy, was a major source. Now, over the years, because of racism and the grass is greener ideology, like we always think of the grass is greener, lots of things contributed to pushing those sciences to the back, right? Because associated with the science of skin is pigment, which is one of the major dividing things of people, like as far as you can go back, right? Pigment. So if you have these concepts built into your religion that God is the sun, or that God works through the sun, right? If God is the sun or God works through the sun, then you can extrapolate from that the fact that maybe white people are cursed, right? Because they can't stand the sun, right? Or maybe the sun can't stand them, right? Or maybe you can extrapolate the fact that black people are cursed, right? Because they're burnt from the sun. And, on the flip side to cancer, right? For not having enough active pigment. On the flip side to that is metabolism issues, for having an overactive system, right? Because your body can handle and process so much high amounts of light, et cetera, et cetera. So you have diseases that are associated with being dark. You have diseases that are associated with being light. So there's a point in science where I can see a space where logically we might need to put that sun-driven sun-driven ideology to the side for a second, because too much conjecture, mythology, and nonsense can creep in. But where we get so distant or distanced from the idea that the sun is the primary driver of biology is more counterproductive than weeding through all of the different taboos, right? Because you can't really talk about the benefits of pigment too much without maybe offending white folks. Or, you can't really talk about, cold tolerance as much without, well, black folks don't really get as offended. Black folks don't really get as offended, but some people do, right? Some people do. So it's taboo, the whole subject, when you discuss the relationship of skin to health and nature, because then you circle back around to one of the most inflammatory or triggering aspects of the Bible, which is the idea of God's chosen people. God's chosen people. And obviously, if God has a chosen people, then the look, the phenotype, would be that's obviously going to come into play, right? Especially if all the other things are factual, meaning if God not only has a chosen people, but those chosen people have also a chosen place by God. Now in 2024, that we understand the relationship of environment to biology, there were some interesting questions and answers to some of those ideas as well, which may be uncomfortable for a lot of people. So for a lot of different reasons, these ideas have been taken off the table, right? For a lot of different reasons, these ideas have been taken off the table. But y'all wild in the chat, right? But these are the things that stand in between, and so now the thing is, you can't run from science forever. You know what I'm saying? Science is going to be what it's going to be, and everybody else have to just figure out their place. You know what I'm saying? So now we're at this concept called inflammaging, where the inflammation in the skin dictates the aging process and all of the what is going on right now? Peace and blessings out there to everybody. My name is Dr. EnQi, the founder of the Melanin versus Diabetes movement and ministry. Our goal is to fight diabetes by creating a biochemically literate society, one book at a time, one person at a time, one household at a time. Join. Got the screen on me. Let me show you how I really flex. This is how I really flex. Look at this. You see this, son? This is how I really flex. This is flexing, right? This is flexing, right? And this is just in this last year. All these books right here is on Amazon. I wrote. Not just read. I wrote. That's flexing. Serious, that's flexing, because that's why I wrote the song with me and Tragedy Gaddafi. That's really a song like that I did with Tragedy Gaddafi, kind of dealing with some of the, you know what I'm saying, like, Hold on.
So-called Negro unable to stand on his own feet. He has no self-confidence. He has no confidence in his own race. Because the white man destroyed your and my past, destroyed our knowledge of our culture.
So that's a radio show for the people that don't know. That's Rick Rubin at the top left-hand corner, Andrew Huberman in the top right corner, and Jack Cruz in the bottom. They did this radio show, I want to say last year, as a way of announcing that Jack Cruz had discovered that cells are producing light inside the cells, and that's what melanin is doing, and blah, blah, blah. Basically, they had a show to commemorate Jack Cruz's discovery of what I had already discovered. So that was their Christopher Columbus moment, right? That was them having an announcement. Oh, Christopher Columbus discovered America. Even though when they pulled up to the shores of America, it was already other niggas. They're like, hey, y'all hungry? Y'all want something to eat? We just getting ready to finish up dinner. Y'all wanna? So when they pull up and they, oh yeah, we're discovering, Jack Cruz discovered. I'm like, excuse you? Excuse you? And the problem is that as a culture, we don't understand when it's time to not play, right? We don't understand when it's time to stop playing, meaning me and these other platforms, right? And I'm not even talking about the Zips and the 050s. Me and these other platforms that's in the quote unquote framework of consciousness, or the platforms that's supposed to be out protecting the kids or whatever the case may be. Our personal differences should not be bigger than the overall mission. Our personal differences should not be bigger than the overall mission that we have as a people. That's the thing that stops us from being unified. It's not that we got to hold hands and skip in the grass together. That's not what unified is. It just is knowing when to stop playing. So when my research leads to such a discovery that you have multimillionaires, neurosurgeons, etc., trying to adopt it and steal it as their own, that's the time for you to put away the petty differences and go, okay, unfortunately, we with him. Even if you don't like me, unfortunately, damn it, we with him. God picked that one. So we got to go with, God picked him, unfortunately, however you feel about it. God picked him, so we got to roll with him. And so this song was just another way for me to try to reach people. You know what I'm saying? Another venue, another avenue to reach people that may not be into the books or studying or whatever the case may be. To give people the understanding, like what we're doing here is not just it's not just short term. This is like long term, far reaching.
Called Negro unable to stand on his own feet. He has no self-confidence. He has no confidence in his own race. Because the white man destroyed your and my past, destroyed our knowledge of our culture. And by having destroyed it, now we don't know we have any achievements, any accomplishments. And as long as you can be convinced that you never did anything, you can never do anything. But when it comes to teaching the black people something about great black men who stood their ground, who were scientists, who were civilizers, who were fathers of culture and civilization, the white man has truly written that role out of the textbook.
Sometimes I feel trapped, raised inside a wild habitat, black, and like an animal, I learn to react. Parallel to hell with their bodies rotten, smell hard to excel. Where a lot of real G's just died and fell. We play inside of graveyards, blood in the streets. youth die young, and mother heart scarred. Emotionally attacking black seeds inside the ovaries. Raw my religion plus culturally. I acknowledge myself, it's like a frozen G at 32 degrees, and something's holding me. Divide and conquer consciously, I can't see, I'm blind. Poison me with the technology, enslaving my mind. I'm just a ghetto child watching ancestors stressing, cause every day above ground is truly a Lord's blessing. Study my essence, what I spit is plus degrees and life lessons. For those asking the realest questions, who is God, Jehovah, Elohim, and Allah, genetically inside of me and written in the stars.
They don't recognize me now. I done took too much, and I'm all torn down, but I'm built back up. They don't recognize me now. I done took too much, and I'm all torn down, but I'm built back up.
It's been a long time coming since my earth was on rock. My first stop, the safest part of the worst block, divine seeds. Planted in sewage and gravel, with nothing but a 7 as a gavel. We learn to travel, student enrollment. English lessons, we learn to push them. Actual and solar facts to the lost Muslim. With these working tools, I research to diverge from the urge. Put me first, more than a detox, a deep purge. 120 the atom, the first, the word. We heard the spark of creation to preserve God in the flesh. Since then, I've been telling them it's more than light, sound crystallized through melanin. You can't come around for a few dollars and disappear. We ain't bouncing no reality checks. Listen here, the chicken clear, biophoton currency, the bloodline of luxury. Health is wealth, and niggas been living comfortably.
They don't recognize me now. I done took too much. Now I'm all torn down, but I'm built back up. They don't recognize me now. I done took too much, but I'm all torn down. Now I'm built back up.
And that name is Neil, man. I knew this day would come, brother. Once you had sent me that 36-page, well-written treatise, I knew the drugs had worn off. I had to be as critical as possible so that maybe you would leave all this alone. See, we could leave all of that in the past, man. All I want to know is, does 1 times 1 equal 2, man? You see, you just couldn't leave well enough alone, could you, Terrence? You know you can't just go around rewriting mathematics, right? It's not for us to do, Terrence. I have to get rid of you once and for all. You ain't gonna kill me, man. Oh, I am going to. Because there's only room for one black genius at a time, Terrence. And that black genius is gonna be